So is your pickup truck affected by this recall? This is actually huge. I'm gonna go ahead and read an article to you guys and explain to you what's going on. Last time I checked, it was a little bit over 1,800 pickup trucks reported that their rear wheels actually locked up on them while they were driving. I know I've been getting a lot of comments and a lot of emails about this situation, and people are asking me to make a video to give you guys a heads up because you may not know. But I definitely want this information to be moved across the entire platform of social media. So if you guys can do me a favor at the very least and hit that subscribe button for me. And if you know anybody that may be affected by this, share this video to them so they have a heads up. But this is pretty shocking news because I was actually at the dealership ready to pull the trigger on one of these brand new pickup trucks, and I'm really glad that I didn't. And I'm hoping the GM gets their act together. Obviously, this doesn't happen to every single pickup truck on the road, but with the amount of reports of this happening, I think it's important that everybody is aware. But let's jump right into this. This is an article from Automotive Drive. I'm gonna go ahead and read this to you guys really quick so we can get a brief understanding of what's actually going on here. GM recalls over 462,000 pickups and SUVs for potential rear wheel lockup. But it kind of goes on to say that the control valves are susceptible to excessive wear over time, resulting in harsh shifting, or in rare cases causing the rear wheels to lock up while driving, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. But the recalled vehicles include the 2020 to 2022 Silverado 1500, 2500, and 3500 pickups, also 2020 to 2022 Sierra 1500, 2500, and 3500, and also the 21 Cadillac Escalades, the Escalade ESV, Tahoe Suburban, GMC Yukon, and Yukon XL SUVs. The quick fix for this recall basically states that dealers will update the new transmission control module software in the vehicles for free and provide a warranty coverage program to cover any additional repair costs, replacement parts. But unfortunately, the replacement parts are currently not available. However, GM is working to obtain the parts as quickly as possible according to the NHTSA. And the GM pickups and SUVs equipped with diesel engines use a 10-speed automatic transmission. Similar models equipped with gas engines use a different transmission and are not included in this recall, which I find very interesting. I was doing a little bit of research. I couldn't really find the answer, so let me know if you do know the answer to this question. But let's just say you have a 6.6 liter gas Chevy Silverado. It does have the Allison 10-speed. Obviously, it's pretty concerning for those guys too. If I owned one of those, I would be concerned about that as well. But I wonder if you could take that transmission and put it in a vehicle with a Duramax. I'm sure that both transmissions are identical. My guess would be that it has a different converter, maybe a different torque converter, maybe a different valve body. I'm sure the programming is definitely different. The transmission control module is probably a little bit different there, but both transmissions are identical, so that's very interesting. But get this, the Allison transmissions in the recalled vehicles are marketed as Allison branded, but the unit is manufactured by GM, not by Allison Transmissions. Brandon Harbin, Allison's executive director of global marketing plus external communications, wrote in an email to Automotive Drive, Allison Transmission has no oversight into the manufacturing process or supply base for the Allison branded 10-speed transmission. So as far as the software is concerned, the way this works is the software will closely monitor the performance of the transmission control valve. Apparently, this software can detect excessive wear in the transmission approximately 10,000 miles before a wheel lockup will occur. So in a sense, the transmission shifting will be limited to fifth gear until the next key cycle. So the idea here is this new updated software is supposed to put your truck into limp mode, your transmission into limp mode basically. So fifth gear, that's about 45 miles an hour if you're lucky. And at that point, the dealership's going to install a valve body in your transmission, which is kind of interesting because this recall should cover the valve bodies first, not the software. The software is all good and great. Okay, install the software, but also install a valve body. But the excessive wear within the transmission control valve body can cause the fluid pressure to drop. It may cause certain shifting valves to move unexpectedly. The lockup condition occurs during downshifts from 8th gear, according to the NHTSA report. Drivers may also see a reduced propulsion message displayed in the instrument panel. And due to the potential safety risk of the rear wheels locking up, GM issued its dealers a stop sell order for the recalled vehicles on October 2024. In addition, all GM certified used vehicles currently in dealer inventory will be decertified and held until repairs are completed. Once a sufficient quantity of replacement parts are available, the recall bulletin will be released and dealers can begin repairing the vehicles according to the NHTSA report. GM will begin sending out owner notification letters on December 9th, 2024. All 22 Silverado 1500s and Sierra 1500 pickup trucks produced after March 21, 2022, also 2500 and 3500 Silverado and Sierra pickup models produced after January 11, 2022, use updated transmission control software to better detect excessive wear. A software update for other models was introduced at the start of the model year 2022 production. GM was notified about the transmission problems on June 5th, 2024 after the engineer submitted a report based on a customer's complaint to the company's internal Speak Up for Safety program, which allows employees to report any quality or safety related concerns without the fear of retaliation. The customer claimed that the rear wheels on a 21 Sierra 2500 HD pickup truck locked up while towing a trailer, resulting in property damage to the vehicle and its trailer. And based on the whistleblower report, GM opened its own investigation on July 16, 2024. However, the company was already aware that excessive wear in the control valve in these transmissions, which were causing the harsh downshifting, and in rare cases, a lockup in the rear wheels. GM's initial testing and analysis determined that the condition was not sufficient to cause a loss of vehicle control, so no recall was issued at the time. I'm sure this number is probably way higher by now, but the investigator identified 1,888 field reports between January 30th, 2020 and August 2nd, 2024 of rear wheel lockups on GM vehicles and potentially related to this condition. GM also identified 11 other related incidents, including vehicles veering off the roadway resulting in property damage. 3 minor injuries were also reported, but none were the result of a crash. But my initial thought on this one, obviously it's pretty scary to think that your rear wheels will lock up while you're driving on the highway. Anywhere you're at, it's going to cause injury not only to yourself, but others around you. It's going to cause property damage. It's a really scary situation. And there's always that what if. And I think it's all good and great that they have softwares to detect this in the transmission for any sort of wear prior to your wheels locking up, as weird as that sounds. But let's just call it how it is. Why are they not updating the valve bodies? But the biggest problem that we're having right now is supply and demand. You cannot get your hands on these valve bodies. And it's really not a big deal. It doesn't have to take a mechanic to install a valve body. Really all you need to do is get underneath your truck, remove that external transmission filter, which is probably a good idea. You can replace that while you have it off. And then voila, there's your valve body. Go ahead and just remove it, unclip all of the wiring connectors, and then go ahead and put a new one in there. Of course, you gotta be super careful. Make sure you guys use the correct inch pounds because it's very simple to snap a bolt. But if you follow the instructions correctly, more than likely you're gonna be able to do this in your driveway and have no issues. Like this poor guy right here, bad valve body, 2022 Chevy Silverado. Anyone else have their valve body go bad and once truck gets into shop, end up waiting months with no end in sight. Mine has been in shop for almost a month now and the valve body doesn't even have an ETA. Just sits on back order and my truck is totally useless. And here's another one right here, update 3 months, still waiting for a valve body. Oh man, sorry to hear about that. So many people in the same boat. Here's another one 4 weeks ago for me, no ETA in sight, lemon law attorney involved now. We will see how that goes. And this one says, I know this is an old thread, but what was the outcome? My truck has been at the dealership for 48 days now. Valve body is still back ordered. But think about it. The only thing that the dealerships are gonna do is update a software to give you guys a warning light to detect whether this is going to occur or not within 10,000 miles. That's kind of crazy, but they definitely need to make this right. Replace the transmission, and at the very least, replace the valve body and give them the updated software. That's fine. But make this right. These trucks are so expensive because if these valve bodies are on a national back order and you can't get your hands on one, I'm just gonna throw it out there just because I used to work in parts. It's gonna take between 6 months to a year as far as I'm concerned. I am so glad that the last time that I went to the dealership to purchase this 2018 GMC pickup truck, I actually bought this in 2020. I was gonna buy a 2020. I was actually gonna buy a brand new GMC Denali. And it's actually pretty interesting. The one thing that stuck in my mind, well, there was 2 things. One, of course, was cost, but the second one was the Allison 10 speed. And it's pretty interesting that they're only addressing the recall to the 2020s to the 2022s. But what about the 23s and 24s? I've been doing a lot of research and a lot of guys, even with the 24s, are having issues with their valve bodies. And this right here really concerns me. Let me show this to you really quick. I did pull up one valve body that was in stock. They're trying to charge $4,700 for a valve body for a 10-speed Allison. It's just ridiculous. I do own a pretty large diesel parts distributing website, and we are not going to charge anyone nowhere near that. That is not cool. I'm currently a dealer for about 12 different other companies, so I'm going to stay in contact with them and see what we can do as far as getting our hands on these valve bodies and putting them on our website just to help some of you guys out, for those of you that have 10-speed Allisons. But I guess what you guys could do at the very least is just share this video, like it, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, let the algorithm kind of do its thing. And also, if this ever happened to you, please let us know in the comments. If anyone has had this issue where their rear wheels actually locked up on them while they were driving, let us know. Also, let us know in the comments if you are affected by this recall. If you do own one of these trucks, let us know what you drive. Pretty curious to see how many people watch this channel that drive these types of vehicles. And of course, if you've had any sort of dealings with this recall already, if you've already taken your vehicle to the dealership, what was your overall experience? How's that going for you? I'm hoping that GM will do the right thing and get these valve bodies installed in every single one of these transmissions. I'm sure GM wants this thing to move as quickly as possible, but I do believe that they should be putting some funds behind this to make sure that their customers are taken care of. If you've already been subscribed to my channel, you guys already kind of know I'm sort of biased. I mean, I own like 7 or 8 diesel trucks, and most of them are Chevys. I work on them all the time. I know the platform very well, and that's probably why I draw to them more. But this is a really bad look for GM at this point. And I know I said in the beginning of this video that I'm so glad that I didn't purchase a 2020 Plus Duramax. The biggest reason why is because I knew that 10-speed Allison transmission was still questionable at the time. And also I knew that the 17 and 19 Duramaxes were the last versions to carry the 6-speed Allison transmission. And after reading the reports, it's a very rare situation when this happens, but it's a huge heads up. I'm hoping that if you bought one of these trucks or you plan on buying one of these vehicles, that you take it to the dealership, get that recall knocked out, get that software update, which I think is ridiculous again. The fact that they're just gonna cover it up with a software update, but the software update is going to alert you prior to any issues. That's the big key right there. And don't get me wrong, other than the transmission issues, these GM trucks are awesome. They look great, they're so comfortable, all the bells and whistles, they ride amazing. And of course, the good news here is the fact that the 23 plus GM Duramax trucks, they already have the software update. So you don't have to worry about anything other than just making sure that you keep an eye on that dashboard. So I'm done with the recall talk. We're gonna go ahead and jump subject to a 11 to 19 transmission, Allison. I wanna show you guys a really cool trick on how to improve the shift quality on your transmission and improve the longevity of that Allison as well for your 11s to 19s. Really cool mod. Some of you guys already know about it. It's called the EPC blocker. The part's like 50 to 60 bucks. Anyone can install one. They're not that hard to do. But the purpose of the EPC circuit is to modulate the main pressure. And mainline pressure in a 2011 to 2019 Allison 1000, it varies between 80 psi to 230 psi depending on the driving conditions. And if you think about it, the clutch packs have barely enough clamping force to hold the torque to the engine. So the time that it takes the EPC solenoid circuit to close and allow all the mainline pressure to build is too slow to effectively stop clutch plate slippage and premature wear. And to skip all the nonsense and not have your PSI drop from 80 to 230, to maintain that 230, you're gonna wanna install one of these EPC blockers. Super easy to do. I'm gonna show you guys that here in this video really quick. It's kind of an older clip, but I wanna make this searchable, so I'll post that on my other YouTube channel. But again, if you have a 11 to 19, keep watching this video. This is a really good option if you decide not to do TCM tuning. It's plug and play, it's super easy. But overall, it's just gonna increase clamping force to the clutch packs and improve shift quality. But I do have some good news for some of you guys that own a 01 to 2010. Those Allisons don't do that, so you're good. Now we're gonna go ahead and take our nice clean Home Depot bucket, brand new. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the drain plug right now, and you got a ton of these 13mm bolts all around this trans pan. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put this plug back on. It's gonna catch right here on the bottom, but this job can get pretty messy, so I'm just gonna go ahead and lay it right down on this bucket here. Who knows, maybe one of these days, Kodiak trucks can rebuild this trans if we do any cool horsepower upgrades. But this will be our very first one. I'm excited. So now that we can clearly see the valve body, you have these little solenoids right here. You got 1 and 2. Right above that, you're gonna have this little wiring harness connected to this other solenoid. There's a little clip right here on the very end of it. This little plastic nub right there. But you're gonna go ahead and depress on that using like a little pick or something. And this is what I use. I just went ahead and pushed on the very end of it. For example, like right here, if I was to pull this solenoid off, and then go ahead and just pull this down. So that's how I did it. So just get that clip out, move it out of the way. But here's the gist on this one. It's really simple. Just remove the 8mm bolt, go ahead and pop out this solenoid, and then we'll go ahead and install the new part. And then after that, we'll just simply reinstall the 8mm bolt to the bracket, and then clip this wiring harness right back in. I'm just using something rather short to get back there. It's kind of difficult. Here's the solenoid. It's kind of suctioned in there. Okay, so per instructions, all you're gonna go ahead and do is take this unit and just simply go ahead and just plug it right in like that. Make sure it's seated correctly so it doesn't come off, but it's held in pretty good with that O-ring. All you gotta do, guys, is just reinstall it. So just one little mental note here, there is gonna be a really small machined hole, pinhole in the solenoid extension, and you don't have to worry about the orientation when you reinstall this part right here. It won't affect anything. And simply all you gotta do is just plug this thing in, install the bracket on this lip, and then put that 8mm bolt right into the valve body, and you're good to go. Let me show you what it looks like. For some of you guys that are watching this for reference, you guys can see that this bracket is installed. Let's go ahead and get this internal filter plugged back in, and I'll go ahead and put this transpan back on. I tighten these down to 20 foot-pounds. Some guys do 15, but that's where I like it. Okay guys, you know what? Scratch all of this. I went ahead and pulled the pan, started thinking about it a little bit more, and man, so basically when I put the internal filter back on, which by the way, you don't have to remove it when you do this job, I just felt like it might be in the way when I was messing with the valve body back there, but I went ahead and plugged in the new filter. I dropped it. I just wanted a peace of mind, but then I started thinking about it. This is for a deep transmission oil pan anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just install my PPE transmission oil pan now and not powder coat it, you know? I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be fancy because let's be honest here, the thing is my tow pig. It's not a show truck. I'm gonna go ahead and put some fresh fluid in there. I'm not gonna film me putting the oil and stuff in the engine. So I'm gonna go ahead and lower the truck, put that in off camera, and then of course we're gonna replace the transmission fluid as well, and we should be good to go.